Hello everyone. Last we met was on Friday, 3/13/2020. We were taking a formative together in class, and the formative was 11 questions long, had a variety of questions on modeling with linear systems. Because we won't be meeting for a while, I wanted to review each of the questions on the formative for your benefit, and we'll begin with number 1. Number 1 reads, a jar contains n nickels and d dimes. There are 30 coins in the jar, and the total value of the coins is $2.10. Set up and solve a system of equations to find out how many nickels and how many dimes are in the jar. Alright, so let's start by outlining some of the important information that the problem gives us. We know that we have a jar, and inside that jar it has a certain number of nickels, which we'll call N, and a certain number of dimes we'll call D. We know that there's a total of 30 coins in the jar, so the total number of nickels plus the total number of dimes is equal to 30. Next, the total value of the coins in the jar is $2.10. Well, what's a nickel worth? 5 cents? Could we say that 5 cents times the number of nickels plus dimes are worth 10 cents, 0.1 times D is equal to the total amount that is in the jar monetarily, $2.10. And now we say we have a system here, a system of linear equations. And all that means is that we have two formulas that we can actually plot on a graph if we wanted to. These are equations that represent a line, and we would have an intersection somewhere so long as these lines weren't parallel. So let's go ahead and let's solve the system of equations. And in solving it, we're going to determine the number of dimes and the number of nickels in the jar. The first thing I'd like to do, and my preference for solving these, is to solve by a substitution. There are other methods. You could solve this a number of ways. We are going to use substitution. I'm going to take this top problem here, and I'm going to subtract D from both sides of this equation. That will give me N is equal to 30 minus D. Alright, you see we subtracted D from both sides. This went away because D minus D is 0. 30 minus D is 30 minus D. N equals 30 minus D. Alright, now what? Well, I actually know what N is now. I mean, we don't have an answer, but we do have this. N is equal to 30 minus D. So down here in the second equation, let's try taking 0.05. And since we have what N is equal to, it's equal to 30 minus D, let's substitute in 30 minus D for N. Now, rewriting the rest of the equation, 0.1D equals 2.10. What do we have now? Now we have an equation that we can solve for D. Let's go ahead and distribute this 0.05 to everything inside the parentheses. So that will give us, you can get your calculators out for this, that's fine. Those of you who don't need to, good for you. So that will give us 1.5 minus 0.05 times D is 0.05D plus 0.1D equals $2.10. I am writing this 0 here. Technically, you don't have to, since we're dealing with money, and that's how we're thinking about this problem. That's why I keep doing it. But if you want to, you can get rid of the zeros at the end after this decimal point here, of course. Okay. So let's keep solving for D. First things first, subtract 1.5 from both sides of this equation. This will go away. Over here, we end up with 0.6. And over here, negative 0.05d plus 0.1d. Well, those are like terms, so we can actually combine those together. And together we get 0.05d. Now we know that 0.05d is equal to 0.6. And undoing the multiplication between the 0.05 and the d requires dividing both sides by 0.05. Divided by 0.05. We come to understand now that d is equal to 12. So what does that mean? Well, the number of dimes in the jar should be 12. How can we determine the number of nickels? Simply enough. N plus 12 is equal to 30. Subtract 12 from both sides. N must be 18. And there you have it. We've solved this system of linear equations and found that we have 18 nickels in the jar and 12 dimes. And if you want to check your work, if you plug in 18 for n in this equation and 12 down here in this equation, you should come up with a true statement. 0.05 times 18 plus 0.1 times 12 should equal 2.10. And these should be the only points, the only pair of numbers when substituted in for n and for d that will make this a true statement.